Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim, the YouTube channel that's dedicated to all runners everywhere. I'm Tim, and I upload new running videos every single week. If you're new to the channel, I post new videos on both Wednesday and Saturday mornings, and that's at 5 a.m. Standard Eastern Time here in the US. I also like to post bonus videos once in a while, but I never know when that's going to be. So if you enjoy watching running shoe reviews, as well as other videos related to running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Also, I tried my best to put you guys in full control as to how you want to watch the video. So if you open the description, there you're going to see where I've created chapters. All you have to do is click on a timestamp for the part of the video that you want to watch, and it's going to take you right there. On today's episode, I'm comparing two cushioned daily training running shoes, the Nike React Infinity Run Flyknit 2 with the Adidas Ultraboost 21. First, I like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in these shoes, but then when we come back together, we're going to take a real close look at each of them to see which one might be right for you. Now this video is not intended to be a full review of either shoe, but I have completed those on each one. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. Now let's just start with the cost. We have the Nike Infinity Flyknit 2s coming in at $160 while the Adidas Ultraboost costs $180, so a little bit more expensive there. For the weight, with the Nikes, they come in at about 9.7 ounces for a men's size 9 on my scales, and that would be the equivalent of about 274 grams. While the Adidas Ultra Boosts, now they're quite a bit heavier, almost 2.5 ounces heavier. They came in at 12.1 ounces on my scales, or 343 grams. So let's talk about the uppers. Both are knit uppers, but we have Flyknit versus Prime Knit. With the Flyknit, we can see that, it's a little bit more narrow up in the toe box. It was pretty breathable. I'd say in terms of the breathability, they're pretty equivalent to one another. I didn't notice a big difference between those two. Now it's cooler weather here, so you expect, if you're going to get a lot of airflow, you're going to notice right away in cold weather because you can feel it kind of gushing through your toes. I didn't really get that experience with either one of these, and I don't know what it's like to run in these shoes, either one of them, in hot weather, but I can tell you that they both have been pretty comfortable in the cool weather conditions that I've had to run in lately. So let's zoom in and we'll take a look at the Flyknit material on the Infinity Flyknit 2. And as we do that, we can see that, they've got a little bit of extra material up around that toe box, and we start to pan our way around to the side of the shoe. You can see where they have their flywires that extend from the lace enclosure system all the way down to the midsole of the shoe. And then we can see where they have their Nike logo as a plastic overlay there in the midsection. And you'll also notice that they have a big plastic heel clip that comes around all the way up through to the midsection of the shoe. Now, one of the things that I didn't mention about the Nike Infinity Flyknit 2 is that Nike has claimed that this shoe will help reduce your risk of getting an overuse injury. And the way that they go about it is by introducing a lot of stability features into the shoe. And so the plastic heel clip is definitely one of those features. And then as we move our way around to the heel counter, or you can also see that they have a nice pull tab there to help you get your shoe on. So let's flip over and we'll take a look at the Adidas Ultraboost 21, and we'll take a look at their prime knit upper. And now this is kind of interesting. So they use, a fair amount of recycled material in creating this upper. And they go about it by using Parley Ocean plastic that they use to create a prime blue yarn that they then use to construct the upper. So I think that's very cool. I wish more companies would use recycled materials in building their shoes. I just, again, think that we'd be all better off if we did that. But now as we kind of pan our way around to the side of the shoe, you can see that they have this plastic lace enclosure system. Now this is a lot different than the Infinity Flyknit 2. For one, it is sewed right into the prime knit material. So whereas the Nike extends all the way down to the midsole of the shoe, this is actually sewed into the upper itself. There's only 4 eyelets, and it's more of a snug feeling rather than a locked down feeling, across the midfoot of the shoe. And then as we work our way around to the back of the shoe to the heel counter, this is a similar piece between these two shoes. They too have a plastic heel clip that extends around, quite a ways, not quite as far as the Nike, but it does go up into your mid section of the shoe. And both of those add some stability to the heel of your shoe. So I do appreciate that. So now let's talk about the upper design themselves. And both are a bootie type of construction. And looking at the Nike Infinity Flyknit 2, it is probably what I would call a 3/4 bootie, because they have a quarter of it where it's where it has a bit of a tongue that's kind of sewed on there. And that has been a bit of an issue, I think, for some runners. And it was something that caught my attention when I first reviewed the shoe, is just exactly how they sewed that last piece of the tongue onto that bootie construction. It just didn't seem like it was attached very well. And I was concerned, that might rip or tear right off of that bootie construction that they have in that upper. I haven't had that issue, but I am aware of it. So I think that I'm just being a little bit more gentle with that section of the shoe when I go to put them on and take them off. So so far so good. Now compare that to the Ultraboost. That is a full bootie. There's nothing sewed on there. It's really comfortable, but it is a bit more loose. So you feel more like you're putting on a slipper than you are necessarily a running shoe. And then now as we talk about, the midsection of the shoe and we move on to that, we can see that with the Infinity Flyknit 2, that flywire system is awesome. So if you like to feel banded down to your shoe, this is probably one of the best uppers that I've had for that purpose. Very snugged in, locked down, super secure in the Infinity Flyknit 2. Now that's a stark comparison to the Ultraboost 21. I can get a snug down feeling, but I wouldn't say that it's locked down. So let's talk about the padding around the heel collar and tab of each of these. And as we look at the Nike, it has a pretty traditional padding system around that heel collar and tab. Very comfortable. I didn't have any issues with that at all. And with the Ultraboost 21, they have a slightly different. They have more of what I would call a split padding system. So it starts a little bit lower than the top of the heel collar of the shoes, or the collar of the shoes. But it was comfortable. I didn't have any issues in terms of comfort. It's just a slightly different design. And then as we look at the tab of the shoes, you can see that the Nike Infinity Run shoes, that's a very traditional, something that we've been all accustomed to and used to for many years. Then as we look at the Ultraboost 21, you can see that they have an Achilles heel flare that I found to be really comfortable. So let's talk about the heel counter of both of these shoes, and you can see that they both have these heel clips. And we'll look at the Nike Infinity Run first, and that heel clip comes a long ways around, way past the midsection of your foot, or almost touching up into that forefoot area. And it was one of the concerns that I had when I first put this shoe on. When I first got them, I put them on, and I kind of felt like that heel clip was kind of digging into the side of my foot a little bit, and I was concerned about the overall comfort when I was out running. But as it turns out, it was fine. So I didn't get that feeling in the Ultraboost 21. You know, the clip is there. It does provide some stability, just like in the Nike Infinity Flyknit 2s. So I felt like they were pretty comparable. So let's just talk about the foam underfoot. And we have React foam versus the Ultraboost foam. And React foam, you got it from heel to toe. And there's a good deal of it. There is 34 millimeters in the heel and 26 millimeters in the forefoot. So you have an 8 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. And they have a rocker design. Now this is a slight difference between this and the Ultraboost. What I liked about the rocker design is that it doesn't seem to really matter how you're striking the ground. So if you're a heel striker, a midfoot striker, a forefoot striker, you seem like you're hitting a lot of React foam underfoot, and it's really comfortable, and it kind of helps you roll through your gait. Gives you a nice smooth feeling as you're out running. Now with the Ultraboost, they have a good amount of foam underfoot as well. Not as much up in the forefoot. In the heel, they have 33 millimeters, and in the forefoot, they have 23 millimeters. So they have a 10 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. I didn't feel like I rolled through my gait cycle like I do with the Infinity Flyknits, but it was still comfortable. And I felt like I had plenty of energy return when I was striking the ground on my midfoot. That was helping me move through my gait cycle just a little bit easier. And I do like that boost material. It doesn't appear to be as soft underfoot. So if we look at the Nike Infinity Flyknit 2, and I'm trying to kind of squeeze that foam together, you can see that I can squeeze it fairly decently with just using my thumbs. When I try to do that same kind of a test with the Ultraboost, it doesn't compress quite as easy. It's still pretty soft, especially if you're landing in that heel area. But what I have found is that there is less material up here, and there seems to be less and less as you go forward. So that the more that I was striking in that midfoot section, I felt like I was running more in a racing flat than I was kind of a cushioned daily trainer. So it did have I would say somewhat of feeling as if you were in a traditional daily trainer, but maybe just a little bit more responsive than I was expecting it to be. Because when you look at all that foam that's underfoot there, or what appears to be underfoot, you think you're going to get a cloud-like experience, and I felt like it was much more reactive. Plus, it's a little bit deceiving because they show that foam coming way up on the heel, but in reality, your heel sets down quite a bit in here, so you're kind of snugged in that heel area. So not quite as much foam as what you might initially think that there is underfoot, but still very cushioned. I didn't have any issues with it that way. Just a little less cushioned than I thought it was going to be. So the Nike Reacts I felt were a little softer underfoot when I was out running. So now let's flip these shoes over and we'll take a look at the outsoles. And there's quite a bit of difference here. So with the Nike, they've got a lot of blown rubber here that's covering up all of that and protecting all of that React foam underfoot. And they've got some flex grooves in here. The one thing that I did notice between these two, because I've had them both out in cold weather and running kind of in the snow, and snow can sometimes be a challenge because you kind of feel like you're just spinning your tires at times. And I didn't think I was getting a lot of help with the in terms of traction underfoot. Now, I don't think you're going to have any issues at all if you're in dry, probably more normal running conditions. But when you need a little traction underfoot, this had a little bit less than the Ultraboost 21 does. Now this is quite a bit different. There's a lot going on here. First, as I mentioned, I did feel like I had a little bit more traction underfoot running in the snow in these. And they've got Continental Rubber. Now that Continental Rubber is really only in strategic places. So they've got it here in the midsection, and then they got it up around the toe. The rest is just blown rubber, but they've got plenty of it to protect that boost material that they have underfoot. They've got this pretty deep groove here, so that kind of does give you a little bit of a trampoline effect when you're out running, so it helps just make it a little bit softer and give you a little bit more energy return. And with these, I felt like I was getting a nice, a little bit softer feeling underfoot when I was heel striking. So that did feel pretty good that way. But again, much more responsive when I was hitting up in the midsection of the shoe or even into the forefoot. And they have what they call this LEP, or this linear energy push system. And it acts a lot like a carbon fiber plate would, or maybe a nylon plate. And you can see it here where it kind of starts down here and it goes up around and it actually flares out. So if I turn the shoe sideways, you can see how far it comes out. So it kind of flares out into wings here. And then that gives you kind of a nice pop off the toe. Just to help you kind of give you a little extra push through your gait cycle. Overall, I found both of these shoes to be, very comfortable underfoot. Now with the Nike Infinity Run shoes, and both you can see have pretty wide platforms to land on, so they're both a pretty stable shoe to run in. And as somebody who overpronates like I do, I always appreciate having a little extra stability underfoot. With the Infinity Runs, they have a pretty built up arch in the shoe. So if you have a taller arch, I think that's going to feel pretty good. I have a bit of a lower arch, and so I do notice that material. Now, it hasn't been uncomfortable for me, but I think if you have, flatter feet or a lower arch, that might cause some discomfort. So just something to consider as you look at both, considering both of these shoes, as far as adding them into your shoe rotation. So I really enjoy running in both of these, but if you're looking for a shoe that's going to give you a solid lockdown feeling across that midfoot, that has a taller arch, and that feels comfortable regardless of how you strike the ground, I think the Nike React Infinity Flyknit 2 might be the right shoe for you. But if you're looking for a shoe that is a little bit heavier, but it is responsive, it's comfortable, and it can double as a lifestyle shoe, then I think the Ultraboost 21 might be the right shoe for you. Yeah, I really enjoyed making this video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.